Hey everybody, Will from 1459 Studios. Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Gear. Who do we have with us today?
We've got Mike Bahauddin, play with the band The Fuck All, TFA, the F All, whatever you want to call us, whatever. But yeah, guitar player and good times.
He's an awesome math rock, post rock, noisy, loudest band in the building. All those wonderful things. Yeah, it's excellent stuff. We'll put up some links for you to check out later. So they're an excellent band. I'm working on album number 2 with them right now. So we'll have that up in the socials for you to hear all that glorious Noisey Goodness afterwards. So yeah, so tell us about the band. When did you guys start?
Well, it's kind of an evolution from the previous band, which was Blackbird Bridge, and you know, just kind of a switch of bass players. We're actually in this band on our second bass player with Jason Strick, who is fantastic.
Awesome bass player.
Yeah, he is really good. We're in the process of, like Will said, recording our second. This is going to be a full length, technically, because I think it's right at 35 minutes.
And it's a noisy 35 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's coming together really nice. We're really excited about it.
Awesome. Well, cool. You want to talk about some gear?
Let's talk about gear.
All right, let's do it. So, Mike, one of the reasons that I asked you to do this is because actually you guys are such a loud band, and we joke about that all the time.
Yeah.
But I love your tone. I love your gear. It's having the dual amp setup makes your sound really unique. That's really cool. So I wanted to, reach out to you, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
To talk about it. So let's talk about amps and why you use your configuration.
That sounds good. Well, being the only guitar in a band, I was always struggling to kind of get a big sound to kind of fill things up a little bit. A long time ago in, the 80s or whatever in the band, I played with other guitarists, but I haven't had the pleasure that often, unfortunately. I eventually landed on 2 amps. This is the first amp that really I kind of melded with. I've had this thing probably since like about 1990. Previous to that, I was like, I had a Marshall, which was great, but this had a really tight low end that I really liked with it.
Which Mark series is this? This is a Mesa Mark
III.
Mark III. Yep.
Yeah. Pardon the busted knobs. That just happened. First time ever.
Yeah.
I busted 2 knobs on the same day. But yeah, I've had this thing for a number of years. It's built like a tank. I mean, it's been through a lot. And
yeah.
I've only had one minor repair done on it. I shared a space with this band a long time ago, and the guy plugged something really hot in there when I wasn't there and blew part of the circuit board out. And I worked at this music store, Schmidt, and they had a bunch of organ repair guys there, and I got the schematic from Mesa, which was kind of hard to do then because they were worried about. But they sent me, and it was all, I wish I still had it, it was a hand-drawn schematic. But they fixed it up, and other than that little solder that they did went bad once, I've never had any problems with this amp.
Nice. Yeah, Mesas are obviously built like tanks. You'll pay for them, but they're built like tanks.
Yeah.
And of course you have the classic 5150 here, the 5152.
Yes. And as far as I know, first of all, this white Tolex on there, the previous owner put that on there, so I think it was originally a black Tolex amp. No mods on it. Kind of the history between the two. I was using that as my main amp, and then I thought, I always like the sounds of these, and then I started using this, and I started flipping back and forth, and I thought, why not get an A/B box and do it all together to kind of get that...
They are very different sounding amps.
Yeah, which is kind of the idea I kind of wanted. They kind of fill in each other's gaps a bit to kind of really get a sound there. And it kind of, even when I'm running, I kind of use one as kind of a primary, and it kind of evolves. Right now, this is kind of the primary that I use, and then this is fill in the holes. Sometimes this is kind of the primary with this kind of fill in the holes. It just kind of varies a bit, but
cool.
Yeah.
Well, while we're here, let's talk about these EQ pedals a little bit and why you like to run EQ pedals with your amplifiers. Yeah,
well, it started a long time ago. I used to run it in line just straight out of the guitar into the amp. It was always kind of hissy. And Yeah, these are old pedals.
And the switches on them are kind of goofy, so he said he leaves them open.
Just leave them open, turn them on and off.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. You can just go ahead and do that. I'm playing with them here because it's like I'm playing with them. Yeah, it's just fun.
But yeah, I would, and then I just like the little extra push they give, and you can kind of shape the sound a little bit, and I just put both of them through the effects loop to kind of get just a little extra push on some frequencies that I like, and without that constant hiss, because they're noisy.
Do you want to get some hate in the comments with me, because that's half the fun of doing these videos?
Yeah.
Is what's better, the Mark III or the 5152? Because somebody's going to have an opinion, and they're all going to say that you're wrong.
I mean, this one I've had longer. I'm probably a little more fond of it.
Sure.
And in terms of reliability, you know, this thing I've had to have the circuit board is cracked on it. There were times when I was playing like a live show and it would just quit, and I'd have to lift it up and drop it again to get everything lined back up in the middle of a song. But I like them both, just for different reasons. In terms of sound, this one it's got a really kind of tight low end. I used to run this without a tube screamer, just straight in and just use the preamp, but it sounded great. The only problem was it just had this just a hum that just was really loud. But I love the sound of it, and I just lived with that hum for a long time.
Yeah, I always joke, being a 5150 guy myself, you know, whether it's EVH or whether it's the PV stuff, whatever it is, right? There's a whole nother video on that. You can check that out later.
Yeah.
But I've always been a 5150 guy, but the Mark series stuff from Mesa was always my favorite stuff that they did. You know, from recording you with this Mark III, I've recorded a bunch of Mark IVs, recorded a bunch of Mark Vs, actually recorded Prince's amplifier in my studio for a black metal band once. Not at all what you'd expected, but it was actually Prince's amp. But they're wonderful amps, and they sound really cool. So cool. Should we talk about some cabs?
Let's talk about some cabs.
All right, cool. Let's talk about some cabs. All right, so obviously your amps are super cool. What about your cabs? Obviously they're two different cabs, so what do you like about each one of these guys?
They're a little bit different. I think this one has a little bit better lower end. I honestly can't tell you what's in there for speakers, even though I did have to open this one up. To work with this head, I had to rewire it to 4 ohms.
Sure.
Thank you, YouTube, for that. Yeah, this one has I think a little bit better low end. I don't know much about it, but it's like the M is for metal, apparently. And
yeah, it's an old Mode 4 cab.
Is that what that is? Yeah.
Nerds.
But each one I just kind of got just out of necessity and what was kind of on Craigslist at the time, basically. So
sure.
Needed a cab. There's one. This one's kind of a weird angle. The caster's broke, and then so I replaced 2. The back ones I didn't want to drill into the wood and fuck it up. So I just kind of leave it at an angle. So I don't know what's in there. I've never opened it.
I've recorded them a couple of times. They both sound good. And as far as like which one this is, I'm guessing this is an old 1960 something, whether it's a lead or a whatever series it is. But yeah, they're wonderful sounding cabs, and they've been well loved.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah, I do love them, and no issues ever with them. You can see salt stains on them. They've been through things.
What is it about Marshall that you liked? Is it just because you grew up with the brand, or was there something about it sound-wise that you always liked?
Yeah, mainly, just familiarity. I kind of know what you're going to get. I never really experimented too much with different cabs. A long time ago, when I first got this head, I tried out a Mesa cab, but it was like one of those half open back ones.
Oh, sure.
And it wasn't just giving me that kind of chesty kind of low end that I like.
Sure. Yeah.
But I did have a cab before that. I kind of, in between bands or something, I lost it. It was another Marshall. It wasn't a slant though. But the previous owner had put some foam on the back of it. And I've been thinking about doing that again. It really made a really nice, tight bottom on it.
Oh, yeah.
It was there, and it would cut when you wanted. And
it's an old studio trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works great.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. So I might try that someday.
I've always said to people, you know, if you're just looking at gear and you're going, well, what kind of cab should I get? It's like there's a lot of great stuff on the market, but the thing is you can always find a good Marshall cab for a fair price.
Yeah.
And regardless of what series it is, with the exception of the MG stuff, because the tube amps can't really Tube amps will blow those up.
Yeah.
But if you can find any full-size Marshall cab, you're going to be in good shape. And they record well. They sound good. They're built like tanks.
Yeah.
Tried and true for a reason.
Kind of a dream of mine, though, is one day I would like to play with 212s instead. Dealing with two full rigs, loading on and off stage and stuff like that, and they just take up so much space. Especially with Troy, he's got a big arm length, and his drums are always spread out all over the place. So you're kind of trying to squeeze these onto some smaller stages. Is kind of a challenge, but I'll try that someday. Hopefully.
It's a good thing you're a 3-piece. You got lots of room.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, why don't we talk about guitars next?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that is a guitar. Everybody, just so you know, that isn't the...
Yes.
Strandberg guitars are awesome. Here, I just have to say it. Here's the thing. Strandberg guitars always look really funny for people that are used to traditional guitars, right? Play one, you'll fall in love with it. You just will. They're excellent guitars. They look a little goofy, but they sound great and they play great. Now I'll shut up and let you talk about it.
Yeah, it was quite a switch for me. I think almost my whole life I've always played V's.
Yep.
I just like the way they feel, and I just always got used to that tippy balance, and that's just when I sit and play.
Right.
They're the most comfortable for me. But I've always had, especially since a down tuning, just trying to, especially you hit that low, whatever note you got there.
Yeah.
It has a tendency to go sharp. I'm not the most gentle or a finesse player, so that was always a problem. And I thought, I'd just try something totally different philosophy and give it a go. And so I just kind of bit the bullet and got it. And I think after the instant I picked it up, I was like, hell yes. Yeah, I really liked it. As far as compared to other guitars I've had, it always stays in tune. It's light. I'm not banging my headstock. There've been a number of times where I'm like passing mic stands or something, and I go, oh, that would have been another headstock bang.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's comfortable. It is a real switch for me, but I play it all the time. I tend to usually just be a one guitar guy, and this is the one right now.
Yeah, I remember when I first met you, you were always playing V's and you were playing down-tuned 6 strings. So when you started playing that, I'm going like, well, that's a change. First, it's a 7-string, and it's a completely different body, and it's kind of like slightly fan fret. It's not a total fan fret.
Yeah, it's not nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I got another 7-string. It's a BC Rich. After getting this, I kind of always had problems with that. With the lower notes going sharp as I hit them, but in the end, I think I just wasn't running heavy enough strings on it, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah, which is a very nice guitar too. This neck is really bizarre. It's got this kind of trapezoidal kind of thing that kind of tapers to really thin, and it's really thick up here. This tremolo is because I tend to use my whammy bar a lot. It's really good. It comes right back into tune. In terms of design, it's just super simple. There's really not much to it, and it's just super reliable. It's pretty responsive. It's as responsive as Floyd's I've had or anything like that. Yeah, it's a great design, and the restringing this is like super easy.
It's nice for any tremolo guitar to have a restring be easy.
Oh yeah. Not snipping ball ends off and the whole works.
What string gauge are you using? What tuning?
We're in drop A, and I think this one's pretty heavy. I can't actually recall. It kind of goes real heavy to real light. I know that the high E on it's like a 9.5.
Okay. So standard 7-string gauge, probably.
Yeah. Although I never use a string.
Yeah.
But it's been a great guitar. I love these pickups. I previously have always had EMGs, which are fine. I have no problems with those. But these really, you can hear each string a little more individually as you're chording and stuff. I've been really happy. I haven't been able to put it down. I probably practiced more since I got this thing than I probably ever have in a long time, to be honest.
Yeah, so from very not traditional, here's something that's very, very traditional. I'll hold it here for you, Mike, just so you can kind of like talk about it. But you just brought this one up because you thought it was like kind of a cool story.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd let you just talk about this one.
I don't have a lot of guitars, but I've had this for God, since like probably late 80s, early 90s. But this is a 1967 ES30 335 12 string. So it's a year younger than me. But it's probably one of the best playing guitars I've ever had or felt, really. And as a 12 string, the action on is spectacular, and just the condition of it, it's just stayed pretty consistent and solid. I think everything is stock on there. I've never replaced anything on there. It's always impressed me, just kind of like how this older chrome, just the plating stays pretty bright and shiny.
Yep.
But it's a lovely guitar. It plays really nice. Sometimes it's fun to plug in here. It's, unplugged, it's nice and clean and pretty, but you plug it in and it's a down and dirty beast. It's really kind of it's just real nasty.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat guitar. When we're just talking, it's when you think about metal guys, you always go, oh, 7 strings, down tune, pointy guitars, right? Yeah. And then we just go like, but all of us have something that's not for that, right?
Yeah.
Like I got my classic Strat, right? And it's because I'm gonna play some blues today, and you go, I want to show everybody this guitar, and I'm like, yeah, it's super cool, right? So it's just always cool to see a really tried and true classic.
Yeah, and actually,
No headstock crack either.
No.
Yeah.
Pretty intact.
Yeah.
And it's a surprise, I do play it every now and then. I do get writing ideas for this kind of stuff out of that thing.
Nice.
Which is cool. Although it's tuned a lot higher.
Well, let me go case this thing up so I don't drop it. And then we'll go ahead and talk about some pedals. Yeah.
Cool.
So a pretty bare bones pedal board, no pun intended, with the ABY switch there. But tell us about the pedals you use and why you like them.
Firstly, it's simple, mainly because I like to count on the amps for most of my sound. In terms of that, I use a tube screamer just to kind of take, not having to push them too hard and get all those hums and things through, which I've been pretty pleased with. I've always one thing I'd always like to want to try someday, but I can't really find like a good stereo volume pedal, because this is my noise gate, really. I do it manually.
No kidding, too. So when you listen to the record, if you hear like the stops, I didn't do any of that. He saved me a lot of edit time. He's literally doing that with his foot up and down as he's tracking.
Yeah, it's something I've done just over the years. I just never had really good luck with noise gates, especially if I'm running something like this, and then it's the noise gate's always in line before it, so that hiss that I'm killing with this thing is ever present. So,
yep.
But if I can I'd like to find a stereo one, and then maybe kind of mix it up a little bit someday, where maybe I'm running a tube screamer just through one, and just using just a preamp and everything out of it for the sound out of it. But I haven't been able to find a good stereo. I've tried a couple ones, but they never really worked out real well.
And these are really great too. The Radial, I always like Radial makes wonderful utility products. I've got a bunch of their stuff in the studio. They're not paying me to say this. I'm just saying it's a good product. I've got quite a few of their utility switchers. So the Tone Bone's really cool. Tell us about what that guy does.
Yeah, it's just my AB switch. But I've tried a couple of different AB boxes as I kind of put this thing together. But you always end up with that grounding feedback loop. This has a great lift. Great. I can't detect any loss of tone or signal through this. About the only criticism I have about it's a little microphonic. If you happen to kick it, it's plugged in for me, and I never hit any of the switches ever.
Sure.
Yeah, unless I'm trying to balance my amps a little bit. But yeah, it's a great dependable unit. I love it, and you can change your phase on it as well, which is kind of a cool feature.
Which is really nice, especially in noisy rooms.
Yeah,
and sound guys who are a little lazy. So.
Yeah,
I said it. Shots fired.
It's a tuner pedal. I really like. I've always used Boss pedals before. But I thought I'd give this one a go. I really like it. It's really accurate and responsive. I really like it. Easy to read. Yeah.
And I've never seen one of these. What's this?
Oh yeah, this is that unusual wah pedal.
Yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah.
It goes on anybody's boards.
Is it your standard crybaby? Actually, Will and I were talking a little bit earlier, but I'm probably just gonna take this off my board. I don't really use it, so yeah.
You're not doing any Metallica covers, so you're all right.
Yeah. So I'll get that out of there. I kind of like using just kind of a smaller pedal board too. It's just less bulky with a mic stand and everything when you're
sure.
trying to manage space. But yeah, pretty simple. But yeah, most of my sound comes from my amps, and this is that, and then yeah, my good old noise gate. I do like that pedal. I'm trying to find a newer one of these. So if anybody has knows a bigger one, I like the response of the bigger pedal a little bit better. But that one works fine too. Still.
Awesome. Well, cool. Great pedal board.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thanks for telling us about all your cool little toys and your awesome dual amp rig here. So.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's been really fun. I don't get to talk about this stuff very much, so
awesome.
Yeah, good time.
Cool, man. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Be sure you go and check out TFA, The Fuck All.
Yes.
We'll put some links in the comments as well as on the back half of the video. It's noisy. It's awesome. You'll love it.